I was first exposed to farming and growing food and kind of this lifestyle in 2013. And I was in college. I was at FGCU, a state school, and I was studying communication, learning how to communicate at this, getting an undergrad. And it's just funny. I didn't really know what I wanted to do, and I think a lot of people could relate to that. It's like working for the newspaper because I like to write, and I was, into that. But, I didn't know if I got to this point where I realized I didn't really know if I wanted to be a computer designer forever, and you start to question these things. And I started to wake up how the world was working and just kind of learning more about myself, and kind of in the college years. And I decided to drop out because, okay, why am I putting my resources and time towards this? And I don't even, I'm just spinning my wheels. Do I even believe in what this newspaper is talking about? Do I, believe in all this funding for these things at the school? And anyways, long story short, I had to make the move to put myself in a new environment and try to learn and experience different things. So I didn't even know what that looked like. And the truth is, I actually wanted to be a stand-up comedian, and I was gonna pursue that. And it's and it's funny because that's funny, and also because I ended up doing something completely different, right? I didn't even imagine that I'd be a farmer one day, But it was that summer after sophomore year at FGCU, I dropped out. I was gonna go, see the world and kind of pursue comedy and just, figure out something that I actually wanted to do, right? And that summer I worked at the summer camp, and my buddy was doing the same thing at Iowa State. He was dropping out and he wanted to go explore the world, and we're like, yo, let's do something. He said, let's go to Europe. I was like, let's do it. And my friends Mark and Sam tagged along because they were done with their masters or something. We all didn't have school going on, unlike our peers, so we went to Europe solo. It wasn't like with the school, or it was just with backpacks. And I remember I sold all my basketball cards. I basically was like, I am done with working for the man forever, was what it was in my mind. And I didn't know what that would look like. How funny is that? So basically our plan was to go to Europe and we could work on these farms. And they would give us a place to stay, and we could, and meals to eat, and we didn't have to work that much, 25, 30 hours a week. Yeah, I wasn't afraid. I definitely was willing because I wanted to experience something different, That's cool to me, and I think a lot of people can relate to that. It's not what we grew up with. It's so cool, living in the countryside and stuff. And anyways, we stayed at these places for room and board, and it was so fun because instead of just going to the hostels in the cities and touring the museums and all that stuff, was just so fun. We got to take trains and deep into the countryside and go stay on these farms in Europe, on these mountains, picking olives, and just insane. And getting exposed, we press this olive oil that we harvest today. It's just amazing. They were doing this 500 years ago the same way on this hill, and just cool stuff like that. And then once you see what's possible, it's hard to go back. And I remember coming back from Europe 3 months later. Long story short, that's how much time I was out there, and it was the holiday break time. And I remember thinking I want to do this forever. This is so rad. Never ever thinking I would ever want to be into it. I didn't ever, we were living in barns and sleeping on the floors and just cutting wood. It's 0 degrees out, and had a blast. Cause this is what we're meant to be doing. We're meant to be active, not, for 60 hours at least. So anyways, I'm so blessed with those experiences. Picking mushrooms in Germany and all this, in just a couple months, my friends, amazing. My friends were such amazing people, and they showed me this cool stuff, reading Osho just on the train in Europe, just blowing my mind, and just seeing what's possible, right? And then I met these cool travelers, and basically just, it was like the time where, it was the time, I guess, in the journey where I was learning, just taking in, like, you know, a baby does, he's not like projecting anything on anyone, he's just taking in. And I felt like so new, I felt like an infant in this game of life. That's so beautiful and so vast and such a frontier. And it was so fun, like finding, growing. And I'm really blessed because, you know, Ade said the other day, she was like, she asked, do you think that, you know, you find your purpose or your purpose finds you, your calling or whatever? I think it finds you, like in my experience, which is incredible. I don't know what everyone's experience, but like, it really was like, boom, I thought I was gonna be a comedian, you know? Who's laughing now? I'm farming. So anyways, what are we talking about? I was in Europe, I was woofing, I came back, and I remember talking to my buddy Jared and a few people and just really like realizing following my heart's the way to go. Just really hitting home with that, because a lot of people say, hey, no, like I remember some friends at the time and family were like, this probably isn't good. They were concerned and they didn't really, because I wasn't the best student, you know, I wasn't always perfect at things, but I definitely knew I wanted to be a part of this, and I didn't want a, you know, 9-to-5 lifestyle or whatever people don't, like whatever turned me off about it, you know? And I realized, I was like, why do I wanna follow this so hard? Like when people are, when it's, you know, cause I didn't have any funding, my parents didn't have like, I didn't have money to go travel, and you know, it wasn't reasonable, it wasn't realistic to do these things. It really wasn't. Like people were saying don't do it, people were making it hard for me to do it. I wasn't having much support, but I knew like this was what it was gonna take. So I went for it anyways, you know? I think there's a real lesson in that, like really, and I guess I realized I have a really strong will. I think, I don't know, I think some people are like stronger with it. Because my whole life I remember feeling that way. And it's funny because I even remember being like in 7th grade or just like a kid, right? And I'm sure so many people could relate, like being at school and like, why are we learning this? What is this even for? When are we gonna apply this in life ever? And tell my parents that. I remember my dad said, well, you have to do this because you have to learn how to think and stuff. And I remember thinking, I don't have to learn how to think and stuff. Like, what are we, you know, we're already, and it's a funny game we play in school, but the truth is, it could be fun. Learning could be awesome. We just don't make it fun, I feel like, in a lot of ways. But my point was, I think that feeling carried me on because it was like, why, like really, I guess, I realized at some point life's super short. I don't know if it was like, you know, in the teen years or whatever, in the 20s. In the last decade or something, it hit home that life's short and we only have so much time. And there's no time to just spin our wheels and make excuses for not doing anything meaningful. So that's how I really felt. That's how I really felt. And I didn't know how to express it. It was just, you know, I wanted to do me. But it's funny, it led me here. How fun is that? So basically I got back to Florida that winter break, and I was like, I basically want to do this forever. I want to be a full-time woofer, farm apprentice. I'm in, it's so much fun. And I kept woofing. I went from city to city. I basically lived for the next like couple years in a different city or state every month. Whole new situation because I was trying to learn from a duck farm and learn from an urban farm and, you know, see what Hawaii was like, and I got exposed to so much out there. So really a bunch of spots, and I'm really grateful and blessed for those opportunities and learning from people who are actually doing it, you know. I think about it's so funny, social media is such a funny thing, and just on a tangent, there's a total difference between doing things and experiencing things and being present, and then walking into situations that are cool or could be potentially that, and then recording it and making it that. And it's a funny phenomenon because I had a couple of those years where I was in Hawaii lava tubes, turning off my headlamp a mile down in the earth, and no social media or anything to capture it, you know, because I was living in the moment and stuff. And now I see the power of capturing it. There's a balance there. But, I really was living that like out of my backpack. And I remember minimalism started to become cool, and like I was really living like that. And I remember, and I was like, so I was in, North Carolina picking apples in Oregon and all these different applications, Texas, and amazing experiences. And working odd jobs on the weekends and just really like learning stuff I wouldn't have learned at school or whatever. And I didn't have a whole lot of resources, but going for it. And I think at one point I realized, it was like at like 22 or something, all my peers were like graduating college, they were getting jobs. And I remember thinking like, dang, I gotta make something myself. Because I was really just apprenticing and just learning, and not, when, I'd get poison ivy and like be out of money, I just, like, life would happen, and I realized I didn't have any money and all this stuff, and I was super extreme. And that led me to beautiful places and taught me how to be resourceful, really not wanting to have materials and stuff. So it definitely served a purpose, but I really brought it back because I said, how can I share with people? How can I contribute? How can I impact? And that started to motivate me, like, how can I really spend my day-to-day with what I want to do to help make this a better world, and not just spin my wheels to make money, like what I started to find out on the road. And it's funny, I would read books on like Into the Wild, like these other kids who would do it, and like people who just went for it and had, like, I could totally relate to. And they would come to the point that they'd run out of money and go work at McDonald's or something. And then and that stuff's real, like we could put glam as all we want on like our Instagram accounts and all that stuff. It's so funny, like the truth is, until we're not domesticated, we need dollars, or one day hopefully BTC. And I thought, maybe I could have my own business, because I don't mind flowing on the weekends. I show up, make my own schedule, work with awesome clients. And then I thought I could be good at that, and I could put it towards, instead of hedges and not so good practices, I could help people grow gardens, because they have land and some people want to put it towards growing food. So I had this idea, maybe I could start this business, and I thought, I need one last hurrah before I go to my hometown and start working or whatever, start that journey of trying to make some of myself and have, to create, this gardening business. That's what it is. So like I wanted to go all out before I created this garden business.
You knew you were going to create it.
Yeah, it was like a small, like, I could do this if, I was so unattached at the time. I was like, yeah, I'm in a different city every couple of weeks, man. I was just like following my bliss hardcore and like really, strong-willed with it, like we got to. So yeah, so I was like, basically, I need one last hurrah, like basically it's getting cold, like, I had like an idea of like, I wanted to kind of do something and work or whatever that meant, and start this gardening business, but I wanted one last hurrah. And that was like to go out and to do a backpacking trip. And I've done some before, but I wanted it to be like a long, like the whole Appalachian Trail or something. And I thought to myself, I'm in Oregon, the Pacific Crest Trail's right there. It's an amazing trail right in the Cascades. I could start that and do that for a month before it starts to snow. And then I'll head back to Florida and I'll try it out there. And I went for it. I sent a couple, what are they called? I sent a couple resupply packages along the way, and I missed one too. And it's so funny, I sent them out like oats and power bars, and I was gonna do a month in nature basically, or just like until it got cold. It was like Labor Day around that time. And I sent these resupplies, and I took the shuttle up the mountain from Portland, and I told the farms that I was working on stuff, I'm like, peace, I gotta go. And I grabbed my backpack and I went up to the mountain. I got on the trail and I had $1 in my pocket. And I didn't even have a bank account at this time. I had 3 years, no bank account. I was off grid, like nothing, like no, just out there. I walked in the forest and I didn't come out until 3-4 weeks later, and it was like I could see California. I went from Mount Hood to California, and I got off the trail and I called my dad, I'm like, hey, I need a ticket home. So I touched down here and I like had this idea, and it's so funny, I didn't know what it looked like. It's so cool because I really just wanted to share gardening and bring gardening to the people and really live in a world of abundance. And there's so much growing in our yards where it's amazing. And that was the vision. And I knew nothing about business. I didn't even know it was gonna be a business. I was just like, this is what I'm gonna do. And it evolved from there. And that's when it really started, Grow Food at Home.